Mr. Brian Rose.
What's going on, everybody? Thumbs up if you can see me and you can hear me. What's up, Zung? What's up, Joe Sheridan? We got Sarah in the house. We got David Watkinson. We got Lisa. We got Carol. We got Brenda. We got Martin with no shirt on in Switzerland. Martin lives the good life there. Good to see you, Sarah. We got Michael. We got Jack, bro. What's up? Good to see you. We got Jacek. We got Henry, Brenda, Veronica, and Angie is there as well. Great to see everybody. I really wanted to get everybody on a call to talk about this issue because this is the kind of thing that we know is happening behind the scenes, but to see direct evidence is a great way to kind of wake the world up to the sobering prospect that AI is going to completely change everything in our lives. And by looking at warfare, I think it's a great way to really remind your friends and family who probably have no idea what's happening with AI, that this is real and this is going to change the whole game as soon as in my opinion, in the next 3 to 6 months. And from there, it goes exponentially. So I want to talk about some stuff today that's a little dark, but I also want to bring it back and show you some light. I've actually just come off a call with the the co-CEO of our big AI investment. Her name is Janet Adams, and she just gave me an update on all the cool stuff that they're doing. So I've got a real piece of light at the end of the tunnel. This is breaking news because I haven't even got to share it with my investment club members because I just got off the call with her. By the way, how many people here are in my investment club? And here, can you just put your hands up if you're already in our investment club? So we have quite a showing here. Brenda and Jackie and Martin and Joe and Zung and David. And how many people actually have already invested in Rosalind as well? Sticking the hand up. Rosalind, that looks a little creepy with just your hand sticking up there. What was I going to say? How many people have actually invested in our AI deal as well? Just double hands up if you put money in. So David and Lisa and Brenda. Okay, great. And Martin as well and Rosalind. Good. I got a great update from Janet. I'm actually going to see her in Dubai in October at the Future Blockchain Summit, and I think I'm going to get her on stage. Again, more of what we do here inside the investment club. Not only do we invest in the companies, but the idea is that we promote them until they become, multi-billion-dollar companies and make everyone a lot of money and make them super relevant. So a bunch of updates there that I'll share with you. But before we get started, I'm going to probably go a little dark, but I will bring us back. Does that make sense to everybody there? How's my audio? A little bit better, right, Martini? Sorry, I think my audio wasn't great. Want to just say before we get going, I need to see faces. And so I got this funny habit. I got this twitchy trigger finger here. You see this hand? It's kind of twitchy. And I have this tendency of throwing people off the call if your camera's not on. So Joanna and Gabe and Hodger and Richard Martin, if I suddenly accidentally throw you off the call, Richard Martin, then don't be surprised if I do that. I just got this. Oh, I think somebody made it. I got this habit of doing that. So Richard Martin, I just had a trigger finger and threw you out. And Gabe Moon, I'm going to chuck you as well, I think. But I like to see people's faces if we're here. So if you can show me, trust me, I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. So you can't really phase me with the way you look. Plus, Martini, it's always the beautiful people that have their cameras off for some reason. So Gabe Moon, keep Gabe, as Martini saying. Martini gives you the pass. She's like in the Roman Coliseum. Martini can do this or this for you on this call and also with entry to our investment club. And I've seen some, really nice candidates get the thumbs down because they did the wrong thing. So, all right, Gabe gets to stay. Fine. What about Halger? Can Halger go, Martini? All right, I'm checking you out as well. All right. Sorry, I got to have some fun here. All right, Halger, you're out too as well. All right, I'll check anybody else if we haven't, but I just want to make sure we can see everybody's faces. Folks, I'm going to dive into this. I'm going to talk fast. If you can, eliminate distractions, shut down your browsers, turn the phone off on airplane mode, because I want to show you some really interesting things that could literally change your life and your future if you pay attention to them. Does that sound good? Is everybody ready? All right, let's rock and roll, folks. Here we go. All right, this is hot off the presses, like literally hot off the presses. This came from a Wall Street Journal article. I think it was literally today or yesterday. Can everyone see the opening screen here? Right? You like this? A little crazy. But here's the headline, folks. We've been told that the US and China have now accelerated their military AI arms race. We've now got proof that each entity is spending billions and billions of dollars. And there's an unfortunate fact about this, is that all artificial intelligence needs to be trained. Does that make sense to everybody? Just hands up if that makes sense, right? Look at these large language models. What are they trained on? They're trained on every piece of human data that we've ever created, ever, right? Every piece of written or transcribed human content is what goes into make these LLMs so big. That's why Google Bard is so good. That's why ChatGPT is so good. Well, guess what? Military also needs training. And where are they training these things? Can anyone guess? Where do you think they're training these right now? Any guesses? Yeah, it's in Ukraine. And so we've actually got the perfect storm in a very bad way, where you've got this technology, and we've also got literally a live hot battlefield where this is being used. How many people have seen the drone warfare going on in Ukraine right now, right? It's a really dark thing to look at. And now Ukraine is sending drones into Moscow. A lot of these drones are being created in various countries in Iran and being sent in. And so, unfortunately, there's actually a hot war where people are testing these things, which means they're able to learn, and it starts to get really dark really fast. I've had a lot of guests on my show to talk about this, including Colonel McGregor, who spent some time as in the military in Iraq, and he hates everything that he sees out here. He wants this war to be over now, and so do I. So I want to talk about what's happening, what it means for AI. I want to talk to you about some of the experts and what they're telling me on London Real and behind the scenes. And then I want to show you exactly how you can profit from AI investing and how you can potentially change the future of AI with your investments and through London Real, because we firmly believe in building the ethical and responsible AI of the future. How many people are kind of in agreement with this, right? This is really what we need. For me, it's really important. And again, that's the kind of AI that I would like not to engage in warfare. So the stakes go even higher when you see headlines like this. So let me talk to you about what we're seeing, and I'll try to explain what I'm also seeing behind the scenes, and also show you exactly what we're doing here inside London Real and inside London Real Ventures. Before we get started, I just want to say that this presentation is really for information purposes only. It's not intended to be investment advice. If you are looking for investment advice, please seek a duly licensed investment professional. Is that clear for everybody here? Yes? All right, good. Let's keep it rocking here. So, front page news, Wall Street Journal. What was this? Literally 2 days ago, right? Yeah, 2 days ago, a couple days ago. Again, so one of the greatest publications in the world, China and the US are testing intelligent drone swarms and swarms of swarms in a race for military AI dominance. Does everyone know what a swarm of drones is? Does everyone know what that is? Just thumbs up if you know what it is. It's potentially 10, 20, 30, 40, 100, 200 drones all flying in unison, right? Kind of like a pack of birds, but it obviously it makes the danger of these things go exponential. Has anyone seen some of these light shows that they do with swarms of drones? Has anyone seen that? Here in London, they replaced the fireworks with these these swarms of drones that light up the sky, and they can do some pretty cool stuff actually. But when you put it into military, it gets really scary, really scary. And then you can have not only swarms, but swarms of swarms. So you can have potentially units of 100, 200 drones all acting together as a swarm to engulf something or completely surround something. And then you can have multiple swarms all working together in another master swarm. And again, just think about people on the ground trying to deal with these things. When it becomes super intelligent, and these AIs are literally more intelligent than you, and then they're 10 times more intelligent than you, and then they're 1,000 times more intelligent than you, and then they're 1,000,000 times more intelligent than you. How many people here think you have any chance against these things from a military perspective? Raise your hand if you think you have any chance when it comes to that, right? Very, very little. And we really haven't seen the robotics and the mass AIs developed, the mass drones developed with AI yet. But as it happens, it's not when, it's not if, it's when it happens, it's going to be pretty dangerous. And so, you know, you can see what's happening here. And when you get Beijing and the US involved, then you're going to have a problem. Just to continue further, you know, the US and China are now really pushing hard on this, okay? They're trying to integrate artificial intelligence into everything they do in warfare. Now, we know the Chinese came out and said back in 2017, you can literally read the paper on this. They specifically said, we will use AI for mass surveillance in order to control the population. Like they literally, this is in black and white. This is not like some weird theory. So we know that China has been using AI and mass surveillance and facial recognition to control the population. But now you're going to apply this to warfare, and it just gets even more scary and more dangerous. What you see there, obviously, are some AI drones right in front of you. Those are small ones. They have big ones as well. But I mean, you look at some of these things. I mean, look, this thing can be launched by a couple people in a backyard somewhere. It's not like this takes these massive airports or aircraft carriers. These things are expendable. They can mass manufacture thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of these devices. This, as you can tell, is, again, an autonomous military vehicle powered by AI that can be deployed remotely. Again, something we just really haven't seen. And both the US and China are each spending billions of dollars now on military AI research and development. Makes sense. By the way, I recently had John Carrico, former CIA officer, on my show, and he told me something very sobering, and I'm going to share what he told me. He said, Brian, the US spends in their defense budget, or spends on military, more than it's the number one spender of military in all of the world. It spends more than the next 9 countries combined on military spending. Does that make sense to everybody here? Right? So you take America, I think it's America, China, Russia, 10 countries. The US at number 1 spends more than all of the next 9 of them, which are the biggest in the world, right? It's just a massive amount of money. The US exports military power to the countries around the world, whereas China exports infrastructure to the countries around the world. It's a bit of this, what do they say? The carrot and the stick is what you do. And the US has always had this way that we export military and arms to people. And now China has done this Belt and Road Initiative. Raise your hand if you've heard of this China Belt and Road Initiative. They basically build infrastructure for countries around the world. And John Carrico said this, Colonel McGregor told me this, Jim Rickards told me this. These are all like top people, ex-CIA people on my show. They said, look, Brian, these countries at the end of the day respond better to an entity that wants to build infrastructure as opposed to sell them fighters, bombs, jets, right? And so, big surprise that China is actually building better relationships, better rapport, better long-term strategic partners than the US right now. And it was really hard to hear. I'll say one more thing. I highly recommend watching this episode with John Carrico. He said, Brian, listen to this. This will blow your mind. He said, Brian, there are more millionaires per capita in Washington, D.C. than Silicon Valley. That number was surpassed about 5 years ago. He said they're called Beltway bandits, and it's all because of military spending. Think about that. You've got Silicon Valley, which is the technology center of the world, right? All these IPOs, all these trillion-dollar companies are being created. You'd think that would be the place with the largest concentration of millionaires in the world per capita, right? Raise your hand. You probably think that was the place. And it used to be, not anymore. Now it's Washington, D.C., because everybody there is lobbying or helping to export, sell military to the world. What are we doing with Ukraine right now? We are exporting billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars of military power. And they're going to have to pay for it one day. And that's what we do. And so this is I had no idea about this. I don't have much Washington, D.C. game, by the way. Does anybody here have D.C. game? I just don't. I really never spent much time in government, and I didn't realize how chronic this problem was. And guess what? AI is going to mean more. And guess what happens in Washington when they sell arms to other countries? Guess what happens? Everybody gets paid. And that's probably something none of us want to hear, but that's the sobering reality of what's happening here, folks. And AI is going to make them even more money. And so the US at the end of the day loves a war. It also means a sitting president, I think, always gets reelected during a wartime scenario. Does that make sense to everybody here? Raise your hand. Always. I think if you go back through history, it happens every single time. And so you can really start to see that maybe our interests as humans are not aligned with our government's issues, or at least to the US government for what they're doing. And AI is just going to kickstart all of this. Now, look, I'm all for defending countries. I'm all for people having a strong military force. I'm all for that. But when it becomes something that you just export for profit, I get a bit concerned. This is the article, and these are some quotes from that I really wanted to show you. Again, US and China are accelerating research on how to integrate artificial intelligence into all of their militaries. And again, it's because this is a fast developing technology. It's going to mean there's just more stuff to sell. US military in particular is learning a huge deal about the value of these technologies on the battlefield from the conflict in Ukraine. So again, I hate to see what's happening in Ukraine, and to know that a lot of that might be because of profit or weapons development or weapons refinement. It just makes it even harder to understand. Lastly, you can see that the US is tightening rules on exports to China, right? They're trying to block all the shipments of chips from NVIDIA and make sure that doesn't happen anymore. So we know that this is an arms race on so many different levels with China, and it's just going to accelerate going forward. Does that make sense to everybody here? So again, if you have friends, by the way, raise your hand if you have friends that still have no idea how AI is going to completely transform their lives. Raise your hand if you've got friends like this. Like they just don't get it, right? Yeah, I think that's most of us, right? They probably heard about ChatGPT 9 months ago. Maybe they played with it. And then they're like, yeah, that's not going to do anything. And then they'll parrot back all the things that people say. Technology developments have always resulted in a net improvement and increase in jobs. And okay, blah, blah, blah. We've heard it all. But if you really go deep down the rabbit hole of AI, you realize this is going to change everything, everything. And I would just say this is a great way to maybe have this conversation with friends, because as we know inside the investment club, it's going to change everything. And you want to be on the leading edge of that on a personal level and on your business. So if personally and in business, you are not using AI across almost everything you do, you will be left behind. And the people that get left behind in AI are going to have lives that are really, really, really bad. And I would just want to emphasize that for everybody here. Let's continue. And I want to share with you a quick interview from Peter Diamandis. Peter's become a good friend. He is a legendary guy in the world of technology. He's actually the founder of Singularity University. So he's been talking about AI for the past 20 years. He's good friends with Ray Kurzweil, who predicted the singularity in 2029, and it looks like he's going to be right. Peter also founded the X Prize Foundation, which puts out these huge cash prizes, 10 million, 50 million, $100 million for people that can complete these crazy moonshots. And he does that so people can develop. Peter's also a fellow MIT grad like myself, and I really, really had a great connection with him on our recent interview. He's also on the board of directors of one of our investments called Vatum inside London Real Ventures. So again, it's really weird. With all the things we do here at London Real, we find so many different connections to some of the smartest people out there in the space. And he said, Brian, AI is going to cause turmoil, hacks, and job losses. He also sees good things happening, but he's very concerned about what the short term is going to be. And so what I really want to do is share with you just a short video of what Peter told me, because it's important to learn from the best. I also like Peter because he wrote a book called Abundance. So Peter is a glass is half full kind of guy. He's not a doom and gloom guy. I got some of those for you later. So listen to what Peter has to say. I think you'll find it very enlightening.
We're going to start to see generative AI in the form of deep fakes and disruptions causing turmoil. We're going to see loss of jobs. We will see the first Wall Street servers hacked by AIs, or the first power plants, and there will be concern that comes from that. These things are coming. The question is, will that AI be dystopian? Will it be the Terminator? Or will it be a benevolent entity supporting humanity, wanting us to be our best? It's tough to predict where things are going, but the convergence of these exponential technologies are allowing entrepreneurs to reinvent the future every single day.
And anybody listening should be trying to incorporate AI into every aspect of their business at this point.
Listen, if you're not an AI-first company, I understand that. That's okay. But at a minimum, what you need to do as the CEO, as the leader, is identify and bring in a chief AI officer, someone who understands who's out there. What's the topology look like? Who are the major players out there in the world? We humans have been the most extraordinary problem solvers ever. We're still here. We have solved so many problems over the years. We're really good at seeing the problems far away. We accelerate them to today, we freak out, but then we still have time with all the new technologies to solve them, and we do. And I have confidence that we will. And I have confidence that we have the ability to uplift every man, woman, and child on this planet and create this incredible world of abundance. So I really hope people walk away from this conversation, Brian, empowered about the future and knowing that they can make a real dent in the universe.
We like Peter. We feeling his vibe there, right? Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Peter. I really like him. Again, he's written books like Abundance, and he is a glass half full kind of guy. But he also is the first guy that said, look, we're going to see, stock market crashes and data hacks. And he's very honest about what's going to happen. He thinks in the long run that this is going to be good, as does Mo Gaudat, former Google guy who wrote a book called it was like one of the robots books, and he says, look, the short term, for the next 2 or 3 years, AI is going to be used by powerful people to make them more powerful and more wealthy, and once the AI becomes smarter than us, then they're going to take over. And so this pre-singularity period of the next 3 years is going to be crucial, and so we need to really think about how we're going to navigate this, because we know that the wealthy have been getting wealthier. We know during COVID there was a new billionaire created every single day. And these people in the short term, and these companies, these multi-trillion-dollar tech companies, are going to use this to become bigger and put all the small businesses out of work and to make a lot of people unemployed. And so this next couple of years is crucial. I would even argue the next 6 to 9 months is crucial. So again, there's a little bit of seriousness and also a little bit of hope from Peter. Let me continue with some of the things that we know are happening right now. So again, Goldman Sachs recently said that AI systems like ChatGPT are going to impact 300 million full-time jobs. That's a lot of jobs, folks. There's less than 300 million people employed in the US full-time. You take that out of the global force, you don't have a recession, you have a depression. And from there, it can go to 1 billion, it can go to 2 billion people. I don't think we're ready for what's actually going to happen. And the crazy thing is it's going to affect white-collar workers more. Did anybody here always expect AI to replace the people in manufacturing, right? The people in warehouses, the taxi drivers. Now guess who it's replacing? The computer programmers, the lawyers, the doctors. It's literally like a bad Twilight Zone episode. And it's going to start to affect everybody and is going to start creating global unrest. We've also got people like this guy, Geoffrey Hinton, who is known as the godfather of AI. And by the way, I've spoken to over 10 of the top AI scientists in the world over the past 8 months. They all tell me on camera and off that this is the guy. He's the OG. He's the one that was promoting deep neural nets, large language models 20, 30 years ago, when quite frankly, AI scientists were considered wacko, kook jobs. Nothing's ever going to happen in your tiny little boring lab on the corner of MIT, right? That's the way these guys were treated for a long time. But because they kept at it, now they're in the driver's position. And so I listen to what they're saying. And they're all very, very scared. It's one thing I've noticed. Does anyone else notice that? Raise your hand if you notice. Like when Sam Altman speaks or these people speak, Mo Gaudat speaks, they're all scared. And they know a lot more than they're telling you. Does that make sense to everybody, right? They know a lot more than they're telling you. And they understand this technology so much better than any of us ever will. And if they're scared, well, we should probably be twice as scared. Again, Geoffrey has talked about why he's scared about the technology he created. He quit Google so he could speak openly about this. And now he's worried about the dangers of misinformation. And look, folks, let's be honest. We're 15 months away from a massive, massive election in a divided country like the US. And what we're going to see is misinformation and disinformation on a biblical scale coming out of artificial intelligence. How many people agree with me that we're going to see some crazy stuff happening next year? Now, it's one thing if you see an AI deep fake of Joe Biden saying something stupid or doing something stupid. Not that you need a deep fake for that, but I won't get started. I'm partisan here. Or again, for Trump to do something like that. But imagine if you saw 10,000 of those things being produced every hour. And imagine now you see 10,000 of those things being produced every hour about the top 10,000 figures in the US. You get to a point where there is so much uncertainty and confusion, you don't even know which way is up anymore. You don't know what narrative is right. You don't know what narrative is wrong. And it leads to confusion, doubt, and uncertainty, which leads usually to global market panics and bad decisions by human beings. Does that make sense to everybody here, right? So this is going to happen. Obviously, everything is highly charged. There's a lot at stake. And we're going to see this really start to ramp up. We've heard the reports that AI could wipe out humanity. And again, this comes from people deep inside the AI industry. And we know right now the AI wars are taking place between Google and OpenAI. This is happening. Google has created this entire separate, campus now that is dedicated to making sure their AI wins, because it's a multi-trillion-dollar company that's going to be worth zero unless they can figure this out. Of course, we know on the other side, you got Satya Nadella of Microsoft, who has funded ChatGPT, and he's got one plan, and that is to destroy Google. There is a winner-take-all scenario here, and these companies are literally fighting it out to the death, which means they're going to make poor decisions when it comes to safety. Does that make sense to everybody here? Right? This is what's happening right now, and we see it right in front of our faces. And look at this report. We know that Google reportedly overruled the risk assessment to launch Bard AI. I used Bard this morning to help me look up something here in London. Guess what? Bard AI has violated the 3 cardinal rules that you never are supposed to violate according to artificial intelligence protocol over the last 10 years. You don't want to know what they are? Number 1, you never connect an AI to the live internet. Is everybody with me on number 1, right? I think it's pretty obvious why you don't do that, but I can explain. Number 2, you never teach an AI how to code computers, because if it can computer code, what can it do? It can create a better version of itself, right? And it can morph into something when you least expect it. And number 3 is you never allow one AI to prompt another AI. That becomes this very dangerous feedback loop. Can anyone guess how many of these 3 things are currently being done with Google Bard right now? Anyone want to guess? Show me some fingers in your hands. Anyone want to guess? All 3. Correctamundo, Carol and Lisa. Thank you. All 3 of these have been violated. Google Bard is connected to the live internet. It knows how to program, and it can be prompted by other AIs, things known as auto GPT. Very dangerous. Now, you might say, well, what's the big deal, Brian? I don't know. Do you really want them having the phone numbers and email addresses of all the nuclear power plants in the world, of all the power grids in the world, of all the arms manufacturers in the world? Do you really want them having all of that capability? Probably not. And yet it's happening right now. The good news is Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, he can't sleep at night because of the AI. Does that make anybody feel better here? And look, Mo Gaudet, former Google, he said, Brian, he's actually an amazing guy, a lot of great character, a lot of great ethics. But this is what Mo said. He said, Brian, as much as that's true, if he doesn't get this job done, he will be fired, and they will hire a CEO that looks out for shareholder value. So we have created a corporate structure that has no choice but to race to the bottom when it comes to our safety and to try to develop the AI that's going to beat the other AI. Just raise your hand. Does that make sense to everybody here, what I'm talking about? That's why we're in this dangerous scenario, because they can't help themselves. They can't help but taking so much risk that it potentially exterminates all of us so they can win at their business model. It's dangerous. And this is what we do as humans sometimes. Even OpenAI's former top safety researcher says there's a 10 to 20% chance that the tech will make most humans dead. Now, I don't know if you ever played Russian roulette. I did a lot of dumb things when I was a kid, like a lot, but I never did that. But if you put one bullet in the chamber of a 6-shooter, that's an 18% chance that you're dead. And we're basically doing that with AI right now. Does that bother anybody here? If you raise your hand, does that bother anybody? We're doing this as we speak, and yet no one's talking about it. It's like that, what was that movie called? Don't Look Up on Netflix. Anybody see that movie? There's this meteor coming to the earth and it's going to kill everybody. And everybody's like going about their business. They're like getting in fights about stupid stuff. And everyone's like, do you realize it's here in 30 days? This is a bit what AI is like right now. Again, even the OpenAI leaders are calling for regulation because in order to prevent it from destroying humanity. On the flip side of this, folks, there's billions of dollars going into these companies. Now, I'll give you an update on our investment shortly. And that's actually been proven by my conversation. I literally just got off the phone call about 20 minutes ago. So this is Microsoft and NVIDIA, 2 massive companies that are putting $1.3 billion into Inflection AI, one of the co-founders of DeepMind. This is a 4-week-old company in France that got $100 million in financing. It's 4 weeks old, folks. This doesn't happen. I was in the dot-com boom in New York City in 2000. there was a lot of stupid money being thrown around. Nobody was giving $100 million to a 28-day-old company. It just wasn't happening. We're also seeing that NVIDIA, basically the chip maker for AIs, has now joined the $1 trillion club alongside Google and Meta and Apple and Amazon. And we've seen this McKinsey report that talks about the economic potential of generative AI. Look at these numbers, folks. 2.6 trillion to 4.4 trillion annually because of generative AI. To put that in perspective, that's bigger than the entire GDP of my country here in the United Kingdom, right? And that could roughly double if you put it into software. That's a ridiculous amount of money. And again, if you go back and look at presentations I was giving 6 months ago, it was a tenth of this that people were predicting. So I don't even think this is right. I think this is low as well, because AI affects every single industry on the planet. Yeah, I mean, Zoom Call is using this for their training data. And of course, Accenture has now put together a $3 billion fund to invest in AI. And this is what I want to talk about, folks. We see that each country is spending billions on the aid. We see that Ukraine is the first major testing ground for this technology. And I want to use that as a wake-up call for everybody here, and maybe even to talk to your friends and family and get them to realize that everybody needs to start paying attention to this right now. By the way, we are currently investing over $4 million into 4 AI and metaverse companies right now this quarter. So we're actually really well versed in what's happening on AI, not because I'm speaking to the experts on the show, which I am, not because I'm off to Singapore next month and Dubai the following month to go to artificial intelligence and blockchain conferences, but it's because we're literally cutting $1 million checks to going into the top AI companies in the world. And that gives us even further insight as to what's actually happening, as opposed to what you read about in the Wall Street Journal. We do this via London Real Ventures. Now, this is the world's first media-powered investment firm. Most people don't even know we do this, and that's okay. Most people just think that I'm on YouTube, and that's okay. But what really happens behind the scenes is we're making a lot of people a lot of money by investing in these cutting-edge companies. And the reason we're seeing the hottest deals in the world is because I can give you more than money. Now, you might say, Brian, there's nothing more important than money. Well, that used to be the case in venture capital 10 years ago, but not anymore. What these companies truly desire is they need customers. And where do you get customers? You need eyeballs. I've got eyeballs. We've got a media platform that's been around for 12 years. It's got over 1 billion views. I've interviewed over 1,000 of the greatest minds in the world. And now I can put the CEO in that leather chair and take their company to the next level. These are some of the companies we've already invested in. We're literally closing 4 deals, 1, 2, 3, 4 deals right now. And we're going to probably close another 8 deals before the end of the year. And so I'll literally show you what we're doing and how we're doing it. But that's how I can speak a little bit more intelligently on what's actually happening behind the scenes. By the way, this is Orange Comment, a press release we recently put out. This is Dave Broom on the right. He's the CEO, and they are using actually AI to build Web3 gaming and metaverse platforms for some of the biggest companies and influencers in the entertainment business. Dave's an ex-Hollywood veteran, 25 years, and his episode on London Real has now been watched over 110,000 times. And I'll tell you more about him as we go. This is Eric Poulier, who was in the studio about 6 weeks ago. He's the founder of Vadim. By the way, Vadim is the company that Peter Diamandis is on the board of. They are creating metaverses with AI for the top companies in the world, including Google, PepsiCo, Frito-Lay, Slack, and the list goes on. They're doing amazing things as well. This is Jason Ma, who was here in the studio 2 weeks ago. He's building the hottest new Web3 super app for artists and creators, again, using AI technology. We're buying into this company that was invested in by the biggest names in the business. We're literally in deals with the biggest venture capital companies in the business, including Animoca Brands, Galaxy Digital, Warner Brothers Music. And we're passing this deal flow on to a small group of London Realers that are kind of part of our investment club family in the background. But it goes on. This is $1 billion fund that we're investing in right now. And it invests in the picks and shovels, the bricks and mortar of the blockchain, artificial intelligence, and metaverse industry of the future. We love this investment because it has low volatility, but still a really healthy rate of return. And I'm super honored to be able to invest in this company because I've formulated a really good relationship with the CEO, who I'll see next month in Singapore and who we've had on the show quite a few times. And we're putting $1 million into this fund. And then, of course, there's our OpenAI killer. That's closing very soon. I just was on a call with their co-CEO just now, and I'll share those details with you as well. And if we weren't busy enough, Martini, we've, of course, got Life Beyond. And this is the metaverse where fiction becomes reality. And we literally have $30,000 left of that allocation, Martini, out of a total of $400,000. And we're investing again with Animoca Brands. This is like the hottest metaverse token play in the world. It's going to be built on a chain that no one ever has built on before with a massive amount of upside. This token will be actually generated in the next couple of months. And I personally think it's going to make all of my members filthy rich. At least I hope it does. And so these are just a few of the deals that we're working on right now. We'll have another 8 of these deals is our plan before the end of the year. And then next year, that's when things are going to get even crazier around here. So this is what we're doing behind the scenes. That's why I got such a big smile on my face, ear to ear, baby. And that's why Martini does too, and all our investment club members here, because we feel like we're on the cusp of something really exciting and really innovative. And we're doing something that nobody else in the world is doing. And we're really enjoying what we're doing. But more importantly, the companies that we're investing in and the visions of these CEOs, because we don't invest in companies that we don't believe in their mission statements. You know, we don't invest in technology companies that try to oppress humanity. We don't invest in alcohol companies and tobacco companies and companies that we don't believe in their vision. We invest in companies that we think are doing the right thing for humanity. And that's why it makes it a really exciting place to be. Does that make sense for everybody here? Right. So yeah, it's just been an incredible ride, and we're just getting started, to be honest. So that's what's going on behind the scenes. And it all comes down to this thesis, folks. We believe the greatest way to predict the future is to create it. Think about that. Does anybody agree with me on that, by the way? Literally to create it, right? That's about taking real ownership of a situation and say, you know what? I might not like what's going on out there, but I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to protest about it. I'm actually going to go and try to create it. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We're doing it by investing in these companies, empowering them and promoting them. We are literally going to change the course of the future. And we are so powerful, and we know how powerful we are. We are more powerful than these trillion-dollar companies with what we're doing here. And again, I always say to people, if you don't think that's true, go back to what we did in 2020. In 2020, I was being censored by a multi-trillion-dollar technology company. I won't say their name, Google, YouTube, Alphabet, but they were doing it. Matter of fact, they just took down 24 videos of mine in the last 30 minutes off my channel and given me a content strike. They're still coming at me. But what we did is we went and created, through the help of London Realers around the world, our digital freedom platform, and we continued to broadcast messages and promote freedom of speech, which I believe is a fundamental human right. And we beat them. So don't tell me that a few motivated London Realers and a small amount of capital can't beat a $1 trillion technology company, because we already have done it, right? And so we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it again. And that's why we're really excited about this, folks, because I want to let you know this: you are more powerful than you believe you are. And I'm very blessed that I get to hang around with a lot of the truth seekers, a lot of the rebels in this industry. And they're very inspiring to be around, because they put their lives, their reputation, and their businesses on the line every single day, like we do, because of what we believe in. And it's great to be around these people. And so that's what we're doing here, folks. And this is our mission statement. You know, we are here to create a mass scale transformation of humanity into a fully empowered, conscious, and cooperative species. If you ever get the honor or pleasure of coming to London Real headquarters, you'll see this on the back wall. And this aligns with our investment thesis for London Real Ventures. This is how we invest as well. And just to tell you, this is more than just business for me, folks. This is personal, because I got two fellas out here whose future depends on what I do here at London Real. And I take this very, very seriously. So this is Caden on the right, 7 years old. This is Damon in the middle. It's his birthday today. He's 6 years old. We just spent last week in Turkey together, and we celebrated his birthday like 6 times. He's crazy. And literally in 10 years, they're going to be teenagers. And I am very concerned that they're going to have teenage experience as human beings that no other human has experienced in the last 200,000 years, because potentially they're going to be surrounded with machines that are smarter than them. And they're going to have to deal in a reality that could be very dark unless Papa, gets up early and stays late and speaks to enough people, potentially you, that wants to go on this journey with us. I'm looking for the right people that want to be on our team for the next 10 years. So this is what we're doing, folks. in the background, and we couldn't be more excited to be in this place at this time to do it. I know it's serious, but I also know how powerful we are. And so just to get back to our thesis here, there's a ton of money being pumped into this business, right? We can see the figures, billions and billions and billions of dollars, right? We know that's true. We know that China's ByteDance is gobbling up billions of dollars versus these AI chips as well. And I actually went to MIT last year to visit where I graduated from 30 years earlier. And I stopped by the MIT Sloan School of Business. It's one of the best business schools in the world. And I saw some of my professors and they said, Brian, the AI productivity boom is coming. Now, not that many people were talking about AI last year. I didn't think that much of it until I went down to my fraternity house, which is on 233 Massachusetts Avenue, right in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And there's about 50 young men that live in a house. They all live like animals, like I used to as well. We eat things that would make a billy goat puke. But that's what a fraternity house looks like. And I said, guys, where are you going to work? You go to work on Wall Street like I did. You want to work for one of these consulting companies like McKinsey of that report that I shared. And they said, no, we're going to work for AI startups and blockchain companies. Folks, follow the money and follow the talent. That's how you know what to invest in. Does that make sense to everybody here? Just raise your hand if that makes sense. So I've got a lot of data points that other people don't have because of my network. And this was a glaring one to me. This is Dr. Hugo de Garis. He's an AI scientist who's been in the business for 30, 40 years. He's considered one of the most respected guys out there. And I had him on the show recently. And the reason I want to share with you a short video of Hugo is because he has already thought through what's going to happen 10 years out, 20 years out. Matter of fact, he thought he would be dead before this happened. And I had him on the show recently and he said, Brian, I've now realized that a problem I thought was going to be my grandchildren's problem is now my problem. And now my worst nightmare has become true. I have to live through this. And I'm worried and I'm scared. And this is what he told me when he came on London Real.
Do we build gods or do we build our potential exterminators? I mean, I used to say, I'm going to die quietly in my bed, but my grandchildren will be caught up in this horrible conflict that I'm predicting is coming. But now I'm suddenly have question marks. God, I might even see it.
You say that the machines might just take us out in the back and...
Once it can start redesigning itself, you get an exponential explosion of intelligence. And then our fate as human beings depends on the machine. It's only a question of time before humanity is forced to choose between stopping development in artificial intelligence. I don't see that as realistic. Or we just accept the idea that sooner or later, we, as a human species, we become number two. The answer to that is, as I'm predicting, war.
Do you think China is behind the West right now for AI?
The potential of the Chinese is phenomenal. The Chinese, they've been the dominant power for not just centuries, but for millennia. The last 2 centuries or so, when they're economically dipped, that for them, given their 5,000-year history, is a glitch. It's a historical glitch. So deep down in the Chinese mentality is the push to get back, quote, where we belong.
So can you really isolate and stop the development of AI?
Personally, I feel it's inevitable. Do we build gods or do we build our potential exterminators? That's the issue. Should humanity build intellects?
All right, what do we think of Dr. Hugo de Garis? We feeling him, right? He's giving it to you straight here, that's for sure. Look, Hugo can get a little dark on this, and he wrote a book called The Artilect War, which again kind of game planned this whole scenario out going forward. And he's predicted something he calls a gigadeath. He thinks there's going to be 1 billion people that are going to die because humanity is going to set up into 2 different groups. One are called the Terrans, one are called the Cosmos. The Cosmos want to build AI. The Terrans realize that we can't build AI if we want to preserve humanity. And these groups fight. They fight it out until 1 billion are dead. And I played this for Mo Gaudat, former Google X guy, and he was terrified when he watched this. And he said, Brian, I think he's right. And so I said, how is it going to start? He said, it's going to start with something small. It's going to start with, all of the Uber drivers being out of work. And now you got 100,000 people around the world protesting. Then it becomes part of a political party. Then there's an AI mistake. and maybe 10,000 people die because of an AI mistake. And it starts adding up, becomes a hotbed issue, unemployment skyrockets, and all of a sudden you're in places that you're not really used to. I think we need to be aware of these dangers so we can just take action now. Does that make sense to everybody here? Okay, good. I hope that helps. And again, I'm just trying to make people aware of what a lot of people are thinking out there. And this is one of the most important things I wanted to show you today. This is something that came out in Barron's recently. And it said this: Microsoft and Google want to dominate the AI economy, but open source models are a threat. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, look deeper, because this was a Google memo that was leaked a few months ago, right? It didn't get a lot of press, and it should have gotten a lot more press, because inside this memo, a senior AI scientist admitted defeat by open source AI. Now, look at some of the things that they said. The text is here on the right. You can see it, right? I was going to highlight that. And look, he says internally, look, we've done a lot of looking over our shoulders with OpenAI, their main competitor. But they said the uncomfortable truth is this: neither one of us is going to win. A third faction has been eating our lunch. What is that? That's open source. Now, if you look at this headline, you'll know that at the time, Facebook's large language model, Llama, had been leaked to the public. And what they saw was this: a tremendous outpouring of innovation that followed, with just days between major developments. Days. Now, open source means anybody in the world can play with it, from high school kids to plumbers to anybody. And you might think, well, why would that help? Also, if it's open source, nobody's trying to take the credit. Nobody wants the patent. Nobody cares about if there's a PR nightmare, if your AI bot says something stupid. Guess what? You can innovate faster. And they said many of the new ideas are coming from ordinary people, right? The hive mind. And they finally conclude by saying the barrier for entry has dropped from 10,000 AI scientists, $10 billion of capital, to one person, an evening, and a beefy laptop. Put your hands up if that kind of blows you away, right? Isn't that crazy? It's crazy, but it's not crazy. I mean, Linux was an open source movement, completely revolutionized the computer science industry. Crypto is an open source movement, right? Open source code of people hacking into the financial system that was trying to be controlled by the banks and the Federal Reserve and the central banks. So all great innovation usually does come from the hackers and the open source people, and it's happening right now. But also there's proof of it. If you look at this graph on the bottom, as of August 24th last year, almost exactly a year ago, these AI image models, has anybody seen the images being produced by AI? I mean, they'll blow your mind, right? They'll absolutely blow your mind. But what happened is the DALL-E model, which is the closed source OpenAI model, was surpassed by Stable Diffusion, which is the open source model. And now it's producing 4x the output of the other one. So there's already a history of open source trumping the regular one. What does this all mean? Well, enter our hero, Dr. Ben Goertzel. He's the CEO and chief scientist of SingularityNet. This is a picture of both of us when we were a little younger, 4 years ago, because he came to the studio to talk about AI. I thought it was a cool topic. He had just been on Joe Rogan, and I got to know Ben and became a good friend. But quite frankly, folks, when the episode was over, I forgot everything he told me about AI, and I concentrated on the next important thing in my life. Does that make sense to everybody here, right? Because in 2019, nobody cared about AI, not really. Then what happened? The ChatGPT moment happened in December, and his token of SingularityNet went up 10x. He was suddenly hundreds of millions of dollars wealthier in his company. And I said, Ben, you got to come back on and tell us what's happening and what's updated in your world. And so Ben came back on the show and he updated me with his predictions that he had already given me. And quite frankly, they blew me away. And by the way, Ben is super OG in this space because Ben has been around like 35 years, I think, talking about this. And so Ben came back on the program, and this is what he told me.
We are leaping into the great unknown, creating machines that are much smarter than us. This is either exciting or frightening or both, depending on your personality.
Will AI exterminate humanity?
Eliezer Yudkowsky, a decade or two ago, he said, the AI does not love you. The AI does not hate you, but it can use your atoms for something else. Actually, my view tends to be that AI is the greatest hope we have to save humanity from exterminating itself.
I don't think anyone in the world understands how
this will be the most transformational time in human history.
I have a 5-year-old son, a 1-year-old daughter, and a 4-year-old granddaughter. By the time they're turned 18, the whole texture of human life and the nature of the world they grow up into is going to be incredibly different from the world that we see now. Like, they're never going to have to get jobs. On the whole, I'm an optimist. I have a spiritual or intuitive feeling that things are going to come out awesomely in the next 10 years. We're going to overcome material scarcity. We're going to create machines that can feed into our brains via brain-computer interfacing and help uplift human consciousness. And we're going to port into virtual worlds and achieve like states of intelligence and awareness going way beyond anything we can imagine now. So that's what the Captain Kirk in my head thinks. We're on the verge of engineered utopia. It's incredible. It's a remarkably weird and fortuitous thing to be living at such a time.
All right, how do we feel about Ben Goertzel? We like him, Ben, right? Every time I see Ben, I like him even more, if that's even possible. So we had an amazing conversation with Ben. He brought me up to speed. And after I had a private Zoom call and I said, Ben, I'd like for you to be our artificial intelligence investment advisor for London Real Ventures and tell me what you see as the hottest companies out there. And he said, hold on a second, Brian. He said, I got something better. And I was like, okay, better than that? Okay. He said, let me call you back in a week. And so he came back to me a week later and he got on a Zoom call and he wanted to introduce me to someone. And so this is who he introduced me to, Janet Adams. And Janet is the COO of SingularityNet, the woman I actually just got off a phone call with about 30 minutes ago, right before this call. And she's also the co-CEO of Zarka. Zarka is their answer to OpenAI, ChatGPT. And they believe they've already won this race. They think they're playing chess and OpenAI is playing checkers. And he said, Brian, what I'd really like is for you to be involved with us in this project. And it didn't take a lot of arm twisting to do that. I met Janet out at one of their meetups here in London a few days later, and I immediately asked her to come in on the show. And so I want to play for you just a short bit of my conversation with Janet Adams as she talks about Zarka, which again is their large language model at massive scale that's coming from the top scientists at SingularityNet. And so this is what Janet talked to me about. Like I said, I also just got off a call with her, so I'll give you the further update from there. But yeah, this is what she told me when she sat down in the studio and spoke to me just a few months ago.
Artificial general intelligence is completely different to narrow AI. AGI is more purpose-driven. It's a watershed moment for humanity.
Tell me about Zarka. This is the project that will create the AGI. It's a supercharged, intelligent, neurosymbolic, large language model at massive scale. What is it?
Zarka is the accumulation of decades of research from teams containing the best artificial intelligence scientists in the world. We uniquely harness that expertise with our even more unique capabilities in neural symbolic techniques and the deeply advanced mathematics that Dr. Ben Goertzel, Dr. Matt Ickley, Dr. Alexei Potapov, and our top scientist, Sergei Shalyapin, have been working on for decades. We are building the most powerful large models ever invented.
With Zarka and SingularityNet and everything you've always done, it's always been about openness. It's always been about decentralization.
We'll be using blockchain technology to enable anybody to help train models. We're giving birth to a new species of sentient life in the universe. The actual greatest imperative is that they are used for good. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. Our goal, our mission is to eradicate inequalities.
When I look at the rest of the market now, I don't see any of those motivations because a corporation, by definition, is going to be motivated by money. You're the only project that even is thinking in any way, shape, or form about these.
We are going to transform what it means to be human on our planet. I foresee a future in which humans then evolve to a next level of being where we are actually conscious, where we feel our full joy engulfed in bliss and ecstasy of the joy of living, the joy of each other. I see a future of joy.
How do we feel about Janet? We liking Janet? She's just like that in person as well. We really like Janet. Janet brings a really nice balance of female energy to a, let's be honest, to a sector that's dominated by male on the spectrum PhD energy. And again, I went to school with all these guys. And Janet is a really, really intelligent and a really great balanced person in this space. She also spent 15 years in the banking industry. She's a very, very intelligent and great business person and operator. And so, needless to say, I was immediately impressed, and we have become huge fans of SingularityNet and Zarka, which is the company they're building as we speak in the space. And so, again, I've actually went out to Texas at the Consensus Conference and met up with Ben Goertzel there. And, you know, we have now invested a large amount of money, about $1 million, into Zarka, which is what we're calling the OpenAI killer. And we couldn't be more excited. And even after today, I'm now even about 3 times even more excited after getting the update with Janet as far as what's going on. So this is the big swing for the fences, winner take all AI project that we're funding with some of the top scientists in the world. And so what's the point I'm trying to make here, folks? If you haven't got the message, 2023 is the year of AI. And if you try to wait till 2024, it's going to be too late, because you're going to miss out on all of these companies that literally will be the kingmakers of the future. And so you're probably asking yourself, where and how do you invest? How do we invest, Brian? Where and how? Well, you've got to find the hottest trend, not just AI, but the subsector of AI, which what we believe is going to be decentralized open source AI, potentially even on the blockchain of AI. Again, from there, how do you find the actual deals? These are very hard to find. And if you don't know the person, you'll never get access to this deal. And otherwise, what you'll see is all the garbage deals out there. And trust me, when something's hot out there, you get about 99% of a bunch of nonsense, people that don't know what they're doing, that you'll take your money and you'll never see it again. Does that make sense to everybody here, right? There's a lot of people out there in this space that will do that. And in something as complicated as AI, you might not know any better, right? And so what do you do? How do you get around that? Well, it all comes down to 3 things, as I like to say inside our investment club: deal flow, and more deal flow. If you have it, then you're winning. If you don't have it, you are going to lose every single time, period. That's the only way this industry works. And so what I do is I get myself on a plane. I'm not a huge fan of traveling. I'm actually not a huge fan of large gatherings, like 100,000 people that come to the Dubai conference that I went to last year here called GITEX. I mean, it took me, I think, 2.5 hours to walk from one end of this conference to the other end. There was like flying cars. I mean, it's really hard to explain to you how big this conference is. But I go there because when I do this and I go hard, I walk away with deal after deal after deal. And so this is me. I'm hanging out with some of the top crypto influencers on the left, interviewing them on stage. In the middle top, I'm hanging out with Dr. Marwan El-Zerrouni, who at the time was the head of Digital Dubai. Now, go figure, he's the head of AI in Dubai, right? Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. I think the universe is conspiring to help us here. And so also I'm hanging out with other influencers. I met with some of the big venture capital there. And from there, I'm back. I went to Europe and went to Paris. This is Paris Blockchain Summit Week. In the middle, I'm at a private dinner with venture capitalists and some of the more exclusive and elite startups that were happening there. On the left, I'm doing media, filming documentary movies. And on the upper right, I'm hanging out with 2 of our portfolio companies. One is Swissborg, one is Cross the Ages, which is the hottest blockchain gaming company out there right now. Then I'm back to London. I'm hanging out with Yatsu, who's the chairman of Animoca Brands, pretty much the largest $4 billion metaverse gaming fund out there. I think they invested in over 600 gaming companies, hanging out with more portfolio companies. Then I'm back to Paris, hanging out with Tim Draper in the upper right, legendary Silicon Valley investor. In the bottom, I'm hanging out with Dan Tapiero, who currently has $1 billion blockchain investment fund. Might sound familiar to you. More influencers. Then I'm out to Texas to hang out with Ben Goertzel. I'm also got to hang out with some of our portfolio companies and, of course, William Shatner, who's Captain Kirk of the Starship Enterprise. But I got to him because we know Dave Broom from Orange Comet. They're doing his digital collectible. So I got to meet one of my childhood heroes. And then, of course, I introduced Yatsu to Orange Comet because they're potentially going to give them money, which will make Orange Comet become a multi-billion-dollar company when they IPO possibly next year, and make my investment club maybe a 200 or 300x return on their investment. So everything we do here is to maximize the returns on my investments. And like I said, to make my investment club members filthy rich. And so this is what you have to do, folks. You have to invest with the best. That's the only way you can be able to navigate this space. Otherwise, you're going to get your lunch eaten for you, or you're going to get your entire portfolio handed to you if you don't do this. We are evaluating hundreds and hundreds of deals every single month. There's AI deals coming every single day, probably 100 new ones every single day at this point. We're evaluating, we talk to the CEOs, we know people in the business, and we try to find out if they're good or bad. But on top of that, folks, that's not enough. You have to understand the financial tools or you have no chance in this industry. And this is our thesis when it comes to the financial tools. We believe that early stage metaverse and artificial intelligence equity investments is the hottest opportunity out there. And that's what we're doing with Zarka. That's what we're doing with Open. That's what we're doing with 1RT Fund. Why? Well, you buy at super low valuations. You see the biggest gains. You invest in what I'm calling the biggest dislocation of wealth in human history. Yes, it's high risk. I will admit that. You need to know that coming in, but the reward is even higher. Now, what does that look like? It means you're investing in what's called early stage funding. That can be one of three categories: seed funding, just an idea; startup funding, maybe one customer; early growth funding, trying to get that first 100 customers. This is how it works. Anybody want to see an example of how this works in the real world? Let me show you an example. This is Mark Zuckerberg on the left, founder of Facebook. This is Peter Thiel on the right, one of his early investors. And this is how Peter turned $500,000 into $1 billion. That's a pretty good return. What happened? Back in 2004, Peter invested $500,000 into Facebook via, wait for it, early stage equity private placement. This is what I've been talking about, folks. At the time, it valued Facebook at $10 million. What happened next? In 2012, Facebook took the company public and they sold the shares in an IPO to now people like you, David, Lisa, Brenda, Gabriel, Niall, Angie, Carol, Michael, Mary, Henry. Now you can buy shares. You couldn't before because you didn't have the deal flow. But now they're selling them to the public, or on Wall Street, we like to call the public suckers or sheep, because usually when they're selling it to the public, you're not getting the best deal. And looks, in this case, you're not buying the company for $10 million. You're paying $100 billion for this company. So you're not getting it as cheap as Peter got it. Does that make sense to everybody here? Just roughly, I'll illustrate this a little bit better. So what happened? Well, Peter did pretty good. He made a 2,300x return, or a 230,000% gain on his investment. Has anyone ever heard of anybody making that kind of a return? Like, I worked on Wall Street for 15 years. I worked at the highest levels of international finance from the biggest banks and brokerage companies in the world. I mean, quite frankly, I never heard of anybody making that return. It's ridiculous. And by the way, once Peter got his money out, what happened to the rest of the public after they bought shares? Did the price go up on Facebook? Stock price dropped. Okay, of course it dropped. Of course it dropped. Wall Street does not care about the public. You are used to make people like Peter rich, and that's why he's smiling. And so what did you learn from this? The conclusion is this: the wealthy invest in early stage deals. That's it, folks. And most of you have never invested in an early stage deal and have never heard of this in your life. Why? Because the rich get richer and the poor stay poor. And that's how they keep you poor. They don't educate you about the financial tools. Does that make sense to everybody here, right? No one's teaching this except for me. My Wall Street buddies hate the fact that I'm teaching this. They literally will not talk to me anymore, because financial education is the reason why poor people stay poor. And what's the bottom line, folks? A $10,000 investment, a simple $10,000 investment, would have made you $23 million. Hell, let's just say you had $1,000 you could have put in this in 2004. It would have made you $2.3 million. Who here could use an extra $2.3 million? Come on, show me your hands. Show me your hands. Yeah? A few people here. Gabriel doesn't have his hand up. He's like, nah, Brian, more money, more problems. Okay, that's fine. But I would rather all my investment club members have an extra 23 mil. That'd make me happy. They might buy me nice Christmas presents. They might invite me on their jets and their boats. That would be nice. And so this is what's happening, folks, every day behind the scenes, and you have no idea it's going on, and you will never get access to this because the bankers will not show you these deals. They show their private banking clients, and you at the public are used for liquidity. Because what else happened? The public markets are for suckers. If you go buy a share of Apple or a share of Tesla on the exchange right now, all of the juice of that trade has been taken out by someone like Peter Thiel. Does that make sense to everybody here? You see what's going on? Okay. How many people here own crypto, by the way? Raise your hand if you own some Bitcoin or some Ethereum or anything else. Okay, good. This happens in crypto as well. It's called a pre-sale token. It's the same concept. You buy a token before it gets issued for a fixed price. Let me give you an example. Has anyone ever heard of this blockchain? It's called Solana. Raise your hand if you own some Solana. Anybody here own some Solana? You've heard of Solana? Okay. It's a popular blockchain. Looks like Henry owns some Solana. Okay. Well, guess what? They did a pre-sale token. And you can see it right here. By the way, this is all on the blockchain, folks. Don't take my word for it. It's all public. Look at this. On April 5th, 2018, they sold tokens for 4 cents on the dollar. Can everybody see that here? Red circle here on the bottom. Everybody see that? Well, pan to the right, you can see they raised 3.17 million. Again, it's not a lot of money, folks. They just needed 3 million. They sold 79 million tokens. They just needed some capital to hire some people and build some infrastructure. What happens? Well, Solana's trading about 20 bucks right now. So if you had bought those for 4 cents, you would have made a 59,000% return, right? Again, that's a cool 6 million if you had put $10,000 in there. Now, did anybody buy these for 4 cents? Henry, did you buy these for 4 cents? Anybody? No, of course you didn't, because you didn't know someone like me. So you had no idea that was happening. Matter of fact, Henry, you probably paid 200 bucks for Solana when they were at their peak, and everyone and their mother was buying crypto back in October 21, and your grandma's buying crypto, and the taxi cab driver buying crypto because the media is talking about crypto. So you probably bought it at 200 bucks and you're 90% down. This is what happens to the public. You make bad investment decisions because you have no education. And this happens over and over and over again. It's how the rich stay rich and the poor stay poor. Does this make sense to everybody here? How do I know this? Because I saw both sides, folks. This is what's happening right under your nose. So how do you create generational wealth? Folks, there's only one way. You have to pull the trigger. If you don't pull the trigger, you have no choice. You can listen to my whole thing tonight, but if you don't pull the trigger, you're going to be in the same situation you're in now, right? The poor will stay poor. How do you do this? You got to pull the trigger. Well, to do that, you have to see the right pitch decks. These are screenshots of pitch decks. We've actually got over 500 now. I got to update this slide of all the inbound deals that we see. We speak to a CEO here on the show, on our private calls every single week. We had someone here on Monday, last night. A CEO came in and pitched their deal. We see so many deals. It's not even funny. This is our deal flow monitor. We track every single deal, the blockchain it's on. Is it an equity deal? Is it a token deal? How much they looking to raise? 1 million, 2 million, 5 million. What's the valuation? 20 million, 50 million, 100 million. We track every single deal in here, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of deals. By the way, this is Orange Comet, Dave Broom, our press release. And then, of course, I put him in the leather chair. They're creating digital collectibles for the biggest names in the business. You saw William Shatner on stage, Sir Anthony Hopkins, Scottie Pippen of the Chicago Bulls, the NFL, Fast and Furious movie franchise. The list goes on and on and on. This is my interview with Dave. It's been watched over 110,000 times, and it blew them up, got them more deals, more partnerships. They love us. This is why we're seeing these deals, folks, because we know how to blow these companies up. This is one of our companies. This is Swissborg, the #1 crypto wealth manager in Europe. They are literally building the bank of the future. Another one of our investments. And we believe we can actually sell a lot of our companies on this platform in the future. And of course, make our members even more money. It's our press release with Swissborg. We love these guys. This is Eric Pugliese of Vadim. Again, building metaverses for the biggest companies in the world. This is my interview with him. Again, blowing up as well. They love us. This is what we do, folks. And of course, this is Jason Ma, the CEO of Open, came here a couple weeks ago. I mean, Jason is a massive guy in the space. He's been involved in over $1 billion of deals. And now we're invested in him as well. This, by the way, was the TechCrunch article of his deal. This closed last year, $100 million valuation. They raised $28 million from the biggest names in the business. How did we get in on this deal? It's because of the relationship I had with Animoca Brands. So my investment club is now getting on a deal that's already closed a year ago. Folks, this is unheard of. You will never, ever have access to something like this. This is a deal that already closed. And yet we're getting access to all of my investment club members and all of our students. Of course, this is our $1 billion fund, digital asset ecosystem fund. which again is amazing. Everyone's so excited. We're doing our capital call as we speak right now. And then there's the OpenAI killer. And folks, this is the deal. It's called Zarka. It's a supercharged, intelligent, neurosymbolic large language model from SingularityNet at massive scale. You've seen the team, Dr. Ben Goertzel, Janet Adams, and some of the best AI scientists in the world. Again, it's the OpenAI moment, and they're responding. But the problem with today's large language models is they have no ability to reason in complex world environments. They don't know when they're wrong, and they memorize instead of thinking. This is a problem, folks. So what do? Enter neurosymbolic AI. This has explosive potential because now these things can actually reason, and it also escapes the AI monopoly that we see happening in Silicon Valley. These people bring smart ownership and reward governance. They know how to do things open source. They know how to do things decentralized. This is their timeline, proof of concept by end of the year. They're going to start rolling out products next year. They already have AGI supremacy. That's artificial general intelligence supremacy, human level intelligence. Ben has been working on this for 20 years. He coined the term AGI. Again, they're playing chess. The market is playing checkers. They've already won. This is their revenue projections, a modest 55 billion. You put a conservative 100x multiplier on that, you got a $5 billion company. It's the biggest company in the world, folks. This is a winner-take-all scenario. And on top of that, they're good people. My ethics are aligned with theirs. And so, needless to say, folks, I couldn't be more excited about this company. And my question to you is this the next 1000x return investment? Anybody think it could be? We do. We do. And that's what we're doing here, folks. That's what we're doing. And that's what we continue to do. And it's because of London Real Ventures that we can source the hottest deals in the world. And people are starting to wake up that this is a massive value add. Now, why is it? It's because of our quadruple threat. And this is what we do. First of all, I put the CEO in the leather chair. I create a 2.5-hour piece of 6-camera high definition media that's going to be an organic asset for that company for the next 5 to 10 years, right? Then I distribute it to my entire network, 5 million subscribers worldwide. So now they have potentially 5 million new customers. That'll blow most companies away. Number 3, I connect you with over 1,000 influencers that I know as guests on my show. People in finance, people in venture capital, people on the blockchain. Hell, I know everybody in this world, right? And then finally, we write you a big fat check. So again, $500,000, $1 million, what do you need? That's why we're seeing this deal flow. And so you might ask yourself, well, okay, Brian, how do I learn how to invest? It's a good question. There's only one way, folks. You have to surround yourself with the best. I can tell you everything you need to know tonight, but unless you surround yourself with the best, you have no chance of pulling this off. Why do I say that? Read this. How many people agree with this statement? You're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Raise your hand if you agree with this. It's an old Jim Rohn quote, right? The only way to become the best is surround yourself with the best. I can give you all the info, but if you go back to your current peer group, you have no chance of pulling this off. How many people in your current 5-person peer group are building a $1 billion company? Raise your hand if you've got them. I've got 5 out of 5 right now in my peer group. I've actually got a peer group of about 50 high-performance people. How many people in your peer group are doing a TED Talk or writing a book that's going to become a New York Times bestselling book? Anybody? Anybody going to the Olympics? Anybody doing these things? No. So how the hell do you expect to create wealth if you're not surrounding yourself with people that are doing high-performance things? Raise your hand if this resonates with you. Folks, I know this to be true. I've been doing this for 12 years. I've been creating communities for 12 years. I also know it's true because it happened to me. You see this punk-ass kid here on the screen? This is me. And let me walk you through my various peer groups. On the bottom left, it's me in high school. I'm about 17 there, actually about 16 there. I just bought my new Ford Mustang, $1,200. I'm very proud of it, as you can see. And I was in high school. I made $6 an hour, $7 an hour working for a technology company, which was good money. Okay. But that's all I was making. I wasn't doing that good. Why? Because I was in a high school in San Diego, California, right? I wasn't surrounded by high performance people. Everybody feel me there? Okay, good. 3 years later, I'm in the middle. I'm graduating, 4 years later, whatever it was. I'm graduating from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Okay. Now I'm surrounded with people that are going to become the next big thing. But at the time, I'm still living at the fraternity house where we barely have enough beer money Like seriously, my income that year was probably $3,000. Okay. But I'm surrounded with a bunch of high performance people that are taking me to the next level. It's only because of that peer group that I was able to do that. Now, fast forward the following year. Now, same Brian Rose, 22 years old. Now I go to New York City. I'm in Manhattan working as a derivatives trader in New York City. That year I think I made $180,000 that year, right? Why? Did I suddenly become smarter, a better businessman, a better trader? No. It's because I was surrounded by 300 people on that trading floor. Each one of them was making between $3 and $12 million a year. So, I mean, I was a joke. They made fun of me that year because I was broke that year. But I thought it was a pretty good improvement from MIT. What's the key here, folks? It's a peer group. That's all it is. If you surround yourself by high performance, wealthy individuals, you will become wealthy. And if you don't, all the books in the world, all the podcasts in the world, all the Zoom masterclasses will not get you rich. Raise your hand if that makes sense to you. Does that make sense? This is the truth. You don't want to hear it. Truth is the most rarest commodity on the world right now, but I'm going to give it to you because I don't care. The truth is, unless you surround yourself with a peer group of high performance people, you have no chance of changing your income. You'll probably get poorer. So that's what we do. We create peer groups. This is Marianne Bartels. She's a 35-year Wall Street veteran, chief information officer of Merrill Lynch Bank of America. She was one of our founding members in the investment club. Marianne knows more about stocks and bonds and inflation and yield curves than pretty much anyone I've ever met. When she comes on our Zoom calls, I let her talk and I shut up while she educates the entire group on what the Federal Reserve is about to do, what's going on in the stock markets. She's regularly a guest on these big financial programs like CNBC. This is your new peer group. Okay? You get to hang out and exchange DMs with Marianne and get to listen to her whenever you want. This is one member of 100 people of your new peer group. This is Andrew Haynes. He's our metaverse expert. He built this entire metaverse mansion inside the sandbox with his digital collectible gallery. He goes to one of the top executive training universities in Switzerland and hangs out with some of the biggest AI scientists in the world. If you got a question about the metaverse, all you have to do is get on a Zoom call with Andrew and he'll help you out. This is your new peer group. This is Dr. Encore. 2 years ago, he was in medicine. He knew very little about the blockchain. He took my Crypto and DeFi Academy course. Then he upgraded to Kings of DeFi, which is our advanced course. Then he was our founding member of the investment club. I hired him full-time two months ago at London Real Ventures, right? He's completely transformed his career and his life. And now he's probably one of the best people out there when it comes to sourcing deals. By the way, he brought in the Orange Comet deal and the Vadim deal. Think about that. 2 years ago, we knew nothing about blockchain, but because of our academies, he brought in these deals. He also started a YouTube channel on a challenge from me. He didn't want to do it. He had all the excuses you have, right? My voice doesn't, I don't like the way my voice sounds. Anybody here not like the way your voice sounds on a video, right? You'd think after my whiny voice, you wouldn't raise your hand, but you just did. I don't care how your voice sounds. By the way, I used to feel that too when I started London Real. I didn't like the way my voice sounded. I'm no good on camera. It's like, yeah, everybody thinks that so just do it. And he did it. He's now posted, I think, 500 videos. He did a video every day for 365 days. And guess what? He's got hundreds of thousands of views. And I think a couple months ago, he was offered $100,000 in pre-sale tokens to advise on a company for free. But he turned it down because he'll make more money inside London Real Ventures with us. This is your new peer group, folks. These are 3 of 100 people. I could go on and on and on, but I'm just going to make you feel bad. Unless you surround yourself with these people, you have no chance. Ultimately, it's about this statement. How many people agree with this? Your net worth is your network. Raise your hand. I mean, it's the story of my life, folks. I mean, I seriously, I mean, I'm not claiming to be the smartest person out there, or the most capable person out there, but if you surround yourself with the right people, you will be successful. And so this is my philosophy. You give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. I teach people how to fish. And that's why I created the investment club. Because in 2021, London Real Ventures invested in Cross the Ages, which is the hottest gaming company in blockchain right now. Now, look, I had studied finance at the MIT Sloan School of Management, right? I had worked on Wall Street, in Chicago, and here in London in finance at the highest levels of international finance. And folks, I had never heard of a pre-sale token. Seriously, I'd never heard of it. And I was so freaked out, scared the bejesus out of me signing those SAFT agreements. And I thought, if I'm scared, how the hell are any of my students ever going to be able to do this? No chance. And I thought, we're going to teach this right now. So I called up Martini. I said, Martini, we got to teach this. She said, Brian, we're full right now with Crypto and DeFi Academy. This is the hottest course on the planet. But I was like, Martini, like, we got to start teaching this. So I think she agreed. And we started, and it's been our most successful product in our history. And what is it? Well, every quarter we open up 10 spaces. It's application only, and it's always completely oversubscribed. It's 6 modules of coursework that I teach over 3 months. It's a 12-month program, but here's the catch. No one's ever left. So far, it's just become a lifetime program, because why would you want to leave this club? And why would I want you to leave if you're bringing in deals and contributing? We have weekly Zoom video calls with a CEO, a top CEO, every week pitching our class. It's actually about the size of this Zoom call, except you got a CEO with one of the hottest companies out there pitching us their deal with pitch deck. It's like a mini Shark Tank. I like grill them, and at the end, Martini goes like this or like this, and she throws them off the Zoom call, or we write them a check. It's kind of like that. It's the best learning environment you've ever seen in your life, right? Right? Raise your hand if you're in the investment club. You guys feeling that? I think you guys just love watching those deals, right? I think they come on just for the blood sport sometimes. No, but it's an amazing way to learn. And I learn too. And by the way, we learn on the cutting edge, because these CEOs give us information that's happening on the cutting edge. They can tell us if they're seeing capital. They can tell us what blockchains they're using, who's giving them money, what venture capitals are doing what they're worried about, what they're not. It's an amazing way of getting information. We have a private Telegram group, a private Discord group. You get access to all of our deal flow. Plus, we give you a full year of our Kings of DeFi program, which is our advanced blockchain program. Just in case you don't know, you're not up to speed on everything blockchain, we'll sort you out. Don't worry. The next live call is Thursday at 7:15 p.m. This is how we teach remotely. We've got people in about 25 countries worldwide. It's an amazing group of people. It's real-time learning, because I'm constantly adjusting the curriculum based on how the market moves. I'm also constantly adjusting the colors I wear and the different shirts and ties. I don't know which is your favorite. Any favorites here? I like number 2, one of my favorites there, a little blue on red. And we just keep it really interactive and really focused on real learning is what we do. This is the syllabus. You got module 1, what is a blockchain AI metaverse pre-sale? I talk about a lot of the stuff I talked today, but go deeper. Module 2 is what is a SAFT or a SAFE? By the way, raise your hand if you've heard of a SAFT or know what a SAFT is. Raise your hand if you know. Okay. I see one person besides members of my club. The fact that you don't know what a SAFT is the reason you will stay poor unless you get some education. Matter of fact, it's scandalous that you don't know what a SAFT or a SAFE is. But it's a testament to how Wall Street keeps the rich rich and the poor poor, because they don't want you to understand these investment types of vehicles. A SAFT is a simple agreement for future tokens. A SAFE is a simple agreement for future equity. This is what we use to invest in these deals. And if you don't know what they are, you have no chance of having any success in this industry. And it's a shame that you don't know. But that's why we're here teaching this. Module 3 is Deal Flow Part 1. We teach you the 5 T's of due diligence: team, traction, technology, tokenomics, terms and conditions. In 5 minutes, you can evaluate a deal and go deeper on it. Module 4, I teach you how to generate new deal flow, right? I teach you what conference to go to, how you go, what ticket to buy, what to wear, how you interact, so you can walk away that conference with 10, 12, 14 new deals. Carol came to Paris with me this year. She walked away with 13 deals. One of our students came to Consensus with me in Texas, walked away with 10 deals. Anybody here have a business card you could take with them to the next blockchain conference? Come on, raise your hand. You must have a business card. Somebody here? No? Angelica? I always find somebody to raise their hand. Well, leave the business card at home, folks, because in my world, we don't use business cards. We use QR codes on the Telegram chat app. Once you do that, you take a selfie with the person you just spoke to. You DM them that selfie. You start the relationship within the first minute. And within an hour, you have their deal. And maybe even by that evening, you got feedback from the team here. I'm going to show you a completely different way of operating. Nobody wants your business card. Somebody tried to give me a business card in Texas. I literally rejected it. This is a new way of doing business. It's light speed. Module 5 is how you nurture early stage investments. The deal isn't over once you sign the SAFT. We got to grow these companies so we could see our 200, 300, 400, 500, 1,000x returns. And module 6 is how to manage exit scenarios. How do you get all the cash out? And then how can we reinvest some of that cash back into the next hot deal? This is our Telegram group. This is our Discord group. And this is the deal, folks. We are oversubscribed as usual. Martini's working 24/7. I don't know how she does it. Seriously, don't know how she does it. She's talking to people all over the world all the time because everyone wants to be on this club, but we need the right people. We need the right energy. These numbers are probably old. I think there's actually 8 people that are confirmed. I think there's 1 space left. Maybe there's 2 spaces left, but I think there's 1 space left. The investment to be in this program, and it's an investment in yourself, is $50,000. By the way, we are doubling that to 100,000 in the next class. I realize that 50,000 is a significant investment. It's not lost on me, and I totally understand. And you're right if you think that's a significant amount of money, because it is. But it can give you unlimited financial returns. Think about that. Unlimited financial returns. And it's your chance to participate in the greatest wealth creation event in human history. One of my guests, Robert Kiyosaki, said this: a poor person says, I can't afford it. A rich person says, how can I afford it? A statement closes the mind. A question opens the mind. If you could turn that 50,000 into 50 million, surely there's a way you can afford it. Now, if you are hanging out with a low energy peer group, you're probably going to say, I can't afford it, and go back. It's not even your fault. You're hanging out with the wrong people. But this is a chance to create unlimited financial wealth and to invest in yourself. And our special investment opportunities in Zarka, in our fund, in Open, and in Life Beyond are ending as we speak. I just did a capital call for 1RT. It's going to be over. We got 30,000 left in our Life Beyond investment. Open, I'm going to close this thing by Thursday. It's ending right now. And by the way, I had a special opportunity in our last class 3 months ago that you missed. And it was a pre-sale token. This is a SAFT agreement on the right. Don't let it intimidate you, because we'll show you that it's not a big deal. And if you had invested in this company, you would have seen a 466% return in 1 day. 1 day, you could have taken that 10,000 you had into 50,000 and paid for the entire course. All right. I made my investment club $300,000 that day. And this wasn't even a big deal. We literally were bored that week. We had nothing else to do, and we put some money in on this deal. We have a track record of success in this group. And by the way, this is our very first deal across the ages. This is the CEO, Sammy Schlagu. And this is my episode with him in the studio. His game is absolutely crushing the world. It's dominating the app stores. They're selling out millions of dollars worth of NFTs. After the interview here at London Real, they got an additional $12 million of investment from Animoca and Ubisoft. And we're expecting a 10x pop on their token this year. We have a track record of massive success in this group. And so this is my promise internally to my investment club, that I'm going to create $10 billion of wealth for them in the next 10 years. And you can watch, folks, because I'm going to do this. Does anybody doubt I'm going to do this? You shouldn't doubt me on this. And so you have 2 choices, folks. You can be on the outside and you can watch a bunch of people get wealthy, or you can be on the inside and you can participate. It's up to you. You have now been warned. And that's what we do. And this is Jens, and he's one of our founding members. And he was on one of these calls looking at a bunch of you. I don't know why he came on the call. He joined us a year and a half ago. And he came to the end of it, and he called me up afterwards. He said, Brian, these guys, they don't get it. Well, these people, they don't get it. I see their eyes. And I'm like, what are you talking about, Jens? He said, they don't understand this tremendous opportunity that's sitting right in front of them. And I was like, Jens, don't worry about it. We're oversubscribed. We got 10 more amazing people coming in from all around the world. I said, it's their loss. They've seen it. And he said, no. I have to tell them what they're missing. And I was like, all right, what do you want to do? He's like, Brian, I'm going to record a video for you, and you got to play it for them. And Jens is a sweetheart. And I said, okay, send it to me. So this is a video from Jens to you.
Why should you join the investment club? And the next obvious question is, can I afford to join the investment club? My name is Jens Krautscheid, and I am an active investor in stocks and companies since age 14. And risking of stating the obvious, I'm German. Also, I am one of the founding members of the investment club. And I consider my decision to join the investment club as one of the best investment decisions I ever made and I ever will make. Why? We all had this pub talk, this talk at the dinner table where we complained about our hustle we have to do daily. We complained on the workload we have, and we try to top up each other. Who has more stress? Who is more hustling? And then sooner or later someone says, well, if I would have been an early stage investor in PayPal, I would be so rich. Or if I would have been an early stage investor in Microsoft, I would be so rich. And this is nice. This is really nice. But let's be honest. If you would have had the chance back then, 1992, to invest in PayPal, would you have pulled the trigger? Would you have invested? Quite likely you wouldn't have, because you couldn't assess the situation. You couldn't value the situation enough. In the investment club, we get these offers on a daily basis. We get the next PayPals on our table. And then we have a team of 50 people, 60 people, of a growing community of people who will do these assessments. And they will say, do this, buy this, this is the way. And then we buy this. And the next question is, can you afford to join the investment club? And the question really should be, can you afford not to join the investment club? Times are getting tougher. AI is taking over. And in what company you want to invest? In which AI company do you want to invest? Do you want to invest in the ones who do the fridges, or do you want to invest in an early stage Coca-Cola who uses the fridges? It's up to your decision. I tell you now, invest in the investment club and be part of our fabulous, wonderful group. My name is Jens Krautscheid, and I wish you the best decisions of them all.
We like Jens. We feeling Jens, right? Yeah, he's amazing. Honestly, everybody in that group is amazing. Like, amazing energy. Not only do they want you to become wealthy, they expect you to become wealthy, unlike your current peer group. It's really, really an exception being around people like that. We love it. We had one of our members, Petya, on our crypto call on Monday talking to the students there, because a lot of them are going to join our investment club. And she said, these are your friends. This is your family. This is the community you've been looking for your whole life. She said, we're going to be together for the next 10 years, changing the world and building the future. She's like, this is not some, place where we pick stocks and, some, Wall Street thing. This is a way of life for her. And it is. It's a really special place. And we're really honored to be able to facilitate that. And so, look, it only takes one. This is something Marianne Bartels said on the very first call. And I said, Marianne, what do you mean? And she said, Brian, I know people that invested in Uber. I know people that invested in Google. One investment changed the course of their lives. It changed their children's lives. It could even change their grandchildren's lives. One of these can change your life. And if you don't have one of them in your portfolio, like, what are you doing with your life? That's my question. So final thoughts are this: don't let 2023 pass you by, because all of the hot AI investments will be gone. You want to learn early stage investing now, because you can use what I'm going to teach you your entire life. Liquid tokens and liquid equity have limited gains. Your share of Tesla, your share of Apple, your Ethereum, and your Bitcoin are not going up 1000x. Does that make sense to everybody here? I'm sorry. I've had the biggest Bitcoin fanatics in the world. They don't think Bitcoin's going to $26 million. It's not. You have to go early stage for that. You can learn from active elite investors for just $50,000. This is unheard of. There is no other way you could do this on this planet. You could give one of these fund managers $500,000 and they would not teach you anything. Okay? It's a significant investment with unlimited financial returns. And thanks to Martini, we created a payment plan of $10,000 a month for 5 months in order to get people in on the deal and still give them some money to invest in those early deals right when they started. And again, we're not looking for the people that are the wealthiest in here. We're not looking for the people with the fancy degrees. We're looking for people that we want to be part of our family for the next 10 years and to change the world. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for the right energy. So that's what Martini does on these calls, is that she talks to the people and tries to find out if you are the right person for our group. And it's your chance to invest in the best deal flow in the world. And I always like to finish with Warren Buffett. He said, the best investment is in yourself. So as great as it is to invest in Zarka or Open or any of these other things, you'll get a much, much higher return if you just invest in yourself. If you just invest in your education and your peer group, that is where you'll get 10,000x returns and 100,000x returns. So again, the investments are gravy. What you need to do is put money on you. Surround yourself by a high performance peer group. Invest in a mentor. Invest in education. That's where you're going to get the big returns. And so if you're interested in this, I recommend you book a call with Martini. Here are her details. If you want to go on the website and book a call, you can DM her on Facebook. You can email her. What I would say is this: if you book a call with Martini, make sure you intend to join this class and make sure you do not waste her time. Okay? A few of us made the mistake of wasting Martini's time once. It only happened once. So don't waste her time. She's only talking to serious people only right now who want to join this class. And again, she's inundated with serious candidates. So allow her to do the serious work. If you are serious, you can book a call with her and you can convince her that you belong in this club, because ultimately Martini makes the call whether you belong in this club or not. So she is the gatekeeper here of whether you can get into this club. And ultimately it comes down to your why, folks. I think it was Friedrich Nietzsche who said, if you have a strong enough why, any how is possible. Who here believes that? If you have a strong enough why, any how is possible. I care so much about these beautiful boys. I'll do pretty much anything for them. If you really care about your future, if you really care about your family, the people in your lives, if you want to provide them financial security, then you'll find a way how to join us. But if you don't care, then you'll never find a way how. So it all comes down to your priorities. How important is it? And do you want to step up to the plate and make a change? This requires change, folks. I know that's hard. But guess what? What do they say? Insanity is repeating the same behavior, expecting a different result. That's the way you've been doing your money thing probably for years, maybe decades. You've got to change it up if you want any results. And let's just face it, folks, the people in your life are worth it. And that's a decision you'll just have to make. So now it's time for some questions and answers. I just wanted to come back. How many people found that useful today? I decided to go big. I had a week off, right, Martini? I'm a little big here. And so, look, I take the time because this is important for me. You know, do I have other things I could be doing right now? Yes, I do. But the reason I spend a lot of time with you is because I think this is so important. And I want the right people with me on this journey. So far, we found 100 of the right people. And I want to make sure we keep attracting the right people, because there's someone on this call right now or watching this right now that could play a huge part in our future. Maybe make the difference, maybe make or break what happens with AI. And so I'm willing to come on here and spend as long as it takes to find that one person. And so is Martini. But again, it means that you have to be willing to do it. And so look, we got Martini here. I think we should probably bring her on and she can probably give you details if you really want to contact her. So I'll just get Martini here and pass it over to you.
Yes. Well, thank you all for deciding to spend a part of your day with us. We definitely loved having you here, and hopefully you were able to pick up some big gems. So I know the topic that we had today was a little bit scary, but as always, Brian always brings it on home with the positivity. So I think that we're heading in the right direction. But one thing that I got out of listening to this entire presentation was really, are you prepared? Are you prepared for what's to come? Are you and your family prepared for what's to come in the future, right? And so here in the Investment Club, we are investing in projects and companies that we truly believe in and that are really going to make a difference in the world for the better, for the best. And, we're building wealth along the way. So if you are looking into joining us in the Investment Club, I went ahead and put some links on the inside of the chat here. So just go ahead and look down and you'll see the chat. The first thing that I put there was a link to take a look at the Investment Club, and that's everything that we're going to offer, ways that we can support you, what you're going to be learning, and basically what you're going to be experiencing. As you go ahead and take a look at the Investment Club, just go ahead and jot down some notes and go ahead and jot down some questions. And if you do have some questions, just go ahead and book a call with me. There is a link there. I know that Brian's got to spread out all throughout the land. So I know that we're all in different time zones. So if you do not see a time that is on my schedule, please be sure to go ahead and send me either a private message on Facebook and or email. Facebook is always the fastest way to get a hold of me because I am a millennial, but email works too. So like Brian said, just only book a call with me if you're serious. I definitely don't want to talk to people who are just playing serious, you know. So if you're wanting to join, you know, a year from now, 6 months from now, or you don't have, you know, the resources to be able to do so, I would rather it be the best use of both of our time and you just book at a later time if this offer is still available. So once again, I only want to talk to people who are serious and ready to pull the trigger, but you just got a few questions before you join us. So once again, I hope everybody had an amazing time today and you were really able to pick up some information that's going to support you along the way, but don't let it stop here, guys. We want to support you every single step of the way in the investment club with the London Real Army. So, all right, guys, I can't wait to connect with you and we'll see you on the inside. Back to you, Brian.
Great. Give it up for Martini. All right. She's working tirelessly behind the scenes, speaking to so many people, but she's built this amazing, beautiful community we have, the investment club. I mean, it really is, it's a work of art and it's a beautiful thing. As probably the members here can attest, and we're really grateful and humbled by all the amazing people and our new members as well. And it just gets us even more excited to just keep doing more of what we're doing. And we're just getting warmed up. The sky's the limit here. And we really think that the next 18 months are going to be just some of the most exciting things we've ever done. So really looking forward to hopefully bringing you on inside the investment club. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Again, please have these discussions with your friends and your family about AI. Please educate yourself. And then please get yourself invested in one of these early stage deals, because I really think it could make the difference for you. So there you go, folks. I look forward to seeing you on our next live call. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next time here on London Real. Bye.